versus reactive. For Facebook and Instagram, hate speech over time. So you can see us in public getting better at this. But there's a lot of work to do, and it'll never end, because how people misbehave or how people spread hate is going to change as the world changes. And so our safety measures are going to have to change along with them. But it's one that we deeply care about.
I'd love to get a sense, to the extent that you can kind of reveal behind the scenes, like, do you have people kind of working in the algorithm and like tweaking it according to like key catchphrases, etc.? How many human beings, and where are they? Like, is there just one large warehouse somewhere and they're all on a computer, and like, and when I put in a request for Boosie or whatever, like someone is managing, a human is managing that? How does that all work?
Yeah, so a couple different things. For a classifier, so trying to build a piece of technology that's going to identify how likely an image is to be hate speech, there are a bunch of different steps. The first is to build what we would call a data set. So a bunch of examples. So it could be tens of thousands of examples of things that are manually labeled by people as hate speech or not hate speech. And those labelers will be all over the world for a whole bunch of reasons. Then we write code that tries to learn patterns. So based on that set of examples, they will start to pick up on certain types of words or imagery that tends to be hate or not to be hate. Then what it'll do is, that's called an algorithm or a classifier. And so once you build it, it will predict how likely something and anything is to be hate speech. It comes out with a number, a likelihood from, usually from 0 to 1. Then we label it again, because then what we need to do to understand how good the classifier is, we need people to look at the results and say, you were right, you were wrong, you missed this one, this one was a false, what we call a false positive, so you thought it was hate speech and it's not, so that we can understand how effective and accurate the classifiers are. Then when you get all of that to a good place, then you start to run it out in the wild and you flag things for people to review. So for most problem types, the classifiers will say, this is probably nudity, this is probably hate speech, and then an actual person will go and confirm, yes, this is nudity, yes, this is hate speech, no, 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 and then take down content accordingly. So it's it's both people and technology mixed together. People I say this all the time, they way too often position technology and people in opposition, right? And the truth is, people are great at nuance and terrible at scale. And technology is great at scale and terrible at nuance. So any meaningfully successful solution to a content moderation problem is going to require both. And we need to embrace that.
One follow to all that is, and I know that like you have this challenge, but like in the COVID era, right in the line between free speech and actual disinformation, when it comes to the vaccines and various folks with opinions and misstatements and truthful statements, etc. What have you learned specifically kind of in the COVID era on how to